President William Samoei Arap Ruto travels to China, and to my surprise, they have just landed right now with Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, and of course, the First Lady, that is Rachel Ruto. But there's this particular thing that has amazed me. So, each and every particular time Ruto is traveling with Baba, the most crazy thing that they usually uses Kenya Airways, and which makes me so proud each and every time, because ebu angalia this particular situation whereby we are using another particular planes without the label of Kenya Airways. So we are maybe defaming this particular brand, the brand that have been, the pride of Africa. Look at that particular situation. It could be so boring to watch that, but you know what? This is it. My good name is Anthony Jenga, and this is Media Kenya, the number one online TV. Let us discuss on this particular matter, on what is happening in our country, because you guys, this is drifting. This is, this is becoming hotter fire each and every time. We tend to say this, but you know what? I think tumeendea koloni ingine China. So hata ukiniona hapa na naponga tu hapa kizungu, mimi nadhania tumeenda kuomba koloni kingine China. That's the truth of the matter. Let us not lie to each other. The reason why Baba has traveled with the president, it is because they want to go to China and ask for more money. They are just there to ask for more money, and ukumbuke tuko na deni mingi huko America, alafu venye tu mambo inaendelea huko nchini. Look at this particular scenario. We are not totally okay with the Americans. We are not in very good terms because they want us to implement bad policies because IMF says this. But you know what? We have new drivers on the seats, but I don't think there is somewhere that we are going. Let us speak the truth. I don't think. If the government just only thinks about more loans, and more loans, who will pay this amount of money that we are borrowing from China? Who will pay all this particular debt that the president is just out there borrowing and traveling like, light, left and center? Who will pay that particular money? It depends me so much sometimes when I look at that particular situation, and you have to look at it very deeply, and you feel agitated. You feel for our country so much, because this was not the planned route. We didn't meant to go to this particular route. The route for borrowing. It is of course not a good thing. And let me ask another particular question. Why do Africans presidents tend to visit abroad, specifically to these particular superpowers, to be given, these particular funny policies to implement? But one thing I love about, China, I love the Asian countries more. I don't say that I hate other particular, but I love them because they have implemented these particular good policies, like for example, look at this, and I don't know if I'm the one who noted this particular kind of thing. When President William Samoei Ruto visited America, when he was coming down the airplane, he was just, holding the hand of his beloved wife, that is Rachel Ruto. So he was setting that particular agenda. You know what? We usually do our things like this because welcome to America, the land of beautiful things and the most vibrant, But also, eh, that looks so funny when you look at it. Someone pretends to be something that he is not. Of course, that we know when President William Ruto is back here in Kenya, he is just forward. His wife is just trying to learn, coming, lagging behind, just following Mr. President. But look at it. In America, he did that particular thing. But today, when he was landing in Beijing, China, you know what? Mr. President was was before anyone else. He was leading the line. Then there comes his wife, and lastly, I saw. By the way, we'll talk about it. Don't worry about it. So we didn't see Mr. President holding his wife's hand, because in China there is this particular terms they use. There is this particular how they do their things with respect, without causing any commotion. That is China. But in America, you try to pretend to be someone who you aren't. You aren't that particular person. But something changes. They have to keep changing. But I also admire China the most, because by 2050, I'm telling you, China will be the most powerful country on earth. Do you know that? The policies they are implementing everywhere in the world, they are so good. And by the way, guys, for matter of fact, do you know that the largest population in the world is from China? They are, I think, 1 point something billion people. And remember, the world is almost around 6 to 7 billion people. So they are a sixth of the earth. And remember, their language is the most spoken language. It is called Mandarin, if I'm not wrong. Is it called Mandarin? Yeah, I got it right. I had thought that maybe I have fumbled a bit, and maybe I twisted the narrative, but you know what? That is the truth of the matter. So you guys, ladies and gentlemen, the other thing to note when President William Ruto was landing in Beijing, China, is this particular guy by the name Baba. I'm talking about Raila Amolo Odinga, Jagababa. Yeah. They call him the king or kingpin of Lowland, but it is true. But also, he is the father of this particular generation. We tend to say that he is Babu. I tend to say that he must change the name from Baba to Babu, because he is old. So I was laughing with a side, when he was just coming out of the Kenya Airways plane, because he was struggling to climb down. Maybe the stairs were too much. So I was left wondering, what about climbing the airplane? Because he was walking, and then it is like that he was just fearing and struggling to walk down like this. Then his knees were like that. I don't know if I'm the only person who noticed that particular thing, but I noticed it. And I was just like, oh my God, Baba is now becoming too old, has become of age, and that's the reason why Baba will not be on ballot coming 2027. If you look at the lifestyle that he is living there, he is now trying to build his own legacy around Africa. Look at it this way. He has gone to campaign for that particular AU seat, which we wish him all the best, because he is a Kenyan. We have just to say that he is a Kenyan. And what we usually do is, whenever there is a Kenyans, we tend to support that particular place. We don't look other particular things. We don't want to know, but where there is a Kenyan, we are there to support him. And they just went through it and they were welcomed very nicely, very warmly. You see, the Chinese culture is very, very diverse. You see how the Maasais are put on the airport to welcome foreign people, just to dance and jump, wearing those particular Maasai shukas with arrows and with shields. Do you believe that is the same thing that happened today? Do you know that? It is the same thing that happened today in China. Now the Chinese people were out there just dancing to our president. It was a kingly welcome, and we appreciate. But although they are saying that there is a meeting, there is a delegation that is going to be held in that particular country, but I have known Zakayo for a long time, and each and every time you see them walking with Baba, just know that there is a very bad deal out there. And sorry to say this, they are out there to ask for a loan. Remember, we have a very huge debt of around 6 trillion. So maybe now they are just going to ask for another huge amounts, huge chunks of money to come waste in very useless projects here in Kenya. Like, for example, when you look at the SGR, for example, let us go back onto that particular project, because a lot of Kenyans doesn't have a clue. They don't even have a clue of what that particular project meant to Kenyans. Okay, do you know the amount that was wasted in that particular SGR was not even on labor, but the amount was spent, compensating the land where the railway line was passing, because people are exaggerating figures, saying, even, let me give you this particular scenario. It was like this: because you have buried someone in that particular area where the rail that will be passing, for you will be paid an extra amount to move that particular is it at home? Oh, okay, yes, it's at home, for you to remove that particular tomb. So many people just put out those fake burial sites, saying this was a burial ground for my uncle, for my old grandfather, and he said this and this. You know how sometimes we tend to exaggerate these particular things, because nasema, hey, babu yangu alisemanga hivi, which is totally wrong. It is not actually very correct to say that, but it is totally wrong to say that. Imagine you going out and just dishing the whole lies, dumping, those particular huge bodies out there, bodies of goats. Uh, Others was burying stones and making it look like a grave, and they were compensated heavily. So I can definitely say that most of the money was spent and very well, and the other half of the money was spent badly. When you look how there, I tend to disagree with some people, because look at it this way. I know a lot of things about construction. I know definitely. I know construction is damn very expensive, but there are those particular people who don't know this. They usually think that construction is very easy. It takes only cheap things. You know, take for example, like right now in Kenya, a bag of cement that is 50 kilograms of cement. Right now, it goes for around 750 Kenya shillings to around 800 Kenya shillings. That's a huge amount of money, you see. So, for you to build, what should I tell you? Oh my God. Go and ask those particular things, those hard stuffs in hardware. The price will shock you, you know. And if you are out there, you are, and you do always do these particular things about construction here and there, you will tend to agree with me and say it is damn correct. Construction is expensive. So some people say that electric train is much more powerful than the diesel one, but that is pure science. I don't see. Just use your brain to think about this. Which engine has a lot of torque between a diesel one and an electric one? It is obvious. It is obvious. Diesel win because diesel is so powerful. Then look at it at this particular way. Which is more affordable? I think it's diesel. You are now comparing Kenya to Tanzania because Tanzania has an electric train, but Kenya doesn't have. But let me tell you, there are very few countries here in Africa which uses electric trains. And mind you, maintaining that particular train is much more expensive. And remember, it is not carrying goods, it only carries people. I have never seen an electric train carrying containers, shipping containers. But the SGR, that is the standard gauge railway line, the diesels, usually carries huge tons of things, especially from the port to Mombasa. Oh, it is not from Mombasa to the dry port. Yeah, the dry port is in Naivasha, and if I can remember, before President William Ruto was in Kenya, I was elected as the president of the country. He campaigned using these particular narratives. They were just very poor narratives, saying that what was he saying actually? If I can tend to remember that, he was saying like this: President Uhuru Kenyatta is moving the port from Mombasa to Naivasha. But when you think about it, it was a win-win situation. Naivasha is an industrial area which is growing so much, so fast. A lot of tourists comes to visit, Naivasha. And remember, Naivasha is I can't call it a business hub. Actually, it is a very cool place to do a lot of businesses, open factories, and that particular area had started to develop. But you know what? President Ruto came out and said, you know what? That particular plan of taking the port from Mombasa to Naivasha, it is totally not worth it. It was not totally worth it. Few months later, after he entered power, he said there was nothing like that. You know, one thing I hate about President William Ruto is the lies. This particular guy lies each and every particular time. I can't remember the last time Ruto spoke the truth. I heard him was it yesterday? Yesterday by one. He was saying that when he finishes to be a president, he should go to church and be anointed to be a religious leader because he is always out there preaching on top of cars, and he termed it as the works of the religious men. But it was just his normal shenanigans of just praying hide and seek and trying to ignore the people's will because people want him to reduce the taxes brands. People want him just to remove and stop acting on fake things. You know, you cannot be the father of the country and all you are doing is just directing the country in the long place. It doesn't work like that. Nobody will like it. So even if you went ahead and co-joined with the opposition leaders, and you went and sat down and said, you know what, we are going to come up with this particular government, the government that will be taking care of the both sides of the coin, it was not definitely our decision. But anyway, we wish them all the best. But when it comes to 2027, I will keep saying this to you. Please, guys, please, Kenyans, use your minds to vote. Don't use your emotions. Please, 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 please. Because you have seen where emotions have taken us. On 2022, if I can generally remember, you are so emotional. You are so emotional and went ahead and said, you know what? We want the Nasara's narrative so that we can be able to lull in with some wheelbarrows. It is them crazy for you just to say that, we be lulling with a better. You could have come with this particular agenda of saying, we will be lighting those particular Range Rovers, we could be lighting those particular BMWs, we'll be driving big machines. But you are saying that I'll be, is it riding a wheelbarrow? Those were the wheelbarrows of that particular time. But you know what? People change. People change, but Luton never changes. So he is out there. He has traveled to Beijing, China, and with her wife, and also the former Prime Minister, that is Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. But I know Raila Amolo Odinga went there to support William Ruto and help him acquire more loan and more grants to our country. But there is one thing I love about China. When they gave you money or when they led you money to do a certain particular project, they make sure and follow up until that particular project is done and it is completed. Look at the types of development they have brought in Kenya. We have a new port. We have a new highway that you can be able, imagine you can be able now to travel from Mombasa to Diani through a road. Hapo Kitambu or there before, there was no road. You had to use a ferry. Imagine just, you have come from the SGR, you have to go first of all, go to Mombasa, take a matatu, enter into a ferry, then you until Diani. But right now, you only need to connect to the road and you are at Diani. Those are those particular very good projects. When you look at other particular projects, the likes of Nairobi Express Highway, that is a Chinese project. When you look at the SGR, a Chinese project. When you look like there is this particular dam in Kirinyaga, I tend to forget that particular name, but it is also a project funded by the Chinese government. So there is a lot of projects and other particular things. Then when you come to America, it is totally bad. When America gives you money, they make sure that particular money is wasted. I have no clue of any single road constructed by the Americans. I don't know. Americans, what they usually does is just making your country so bad, so terrible. I hate to see this, but that is the truth of the matter. They are not there to support us, but to destroy us. But when it comes to China, they are there to support us in each and every way. They are there to make us succeed, which is totally a good way, but no hate to America because they have among the best infrastructure, but even those particular infrastructures in their country, they are built by the Chinese. You know, that's the reason that I'm saying Chinese will be the most powerful country coming 2050. You guys, my guys, it may be sooner or later. It has been an awesome time just here interacting with you, informing you of what is happening in our country. You know what? My good name is Anthony Jenga, and this is Eve Media Kenya, the number one online TV. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Until the next one, guys, bye bye for now. Peace.